But look, at the end of the day, there's only one thing we're talking about, and it's not even that loss. Okay, we did lose to Philly 38-31, another game that we had a lead. We were up early, kind of fell off towards late, but we're not even going to dive into that, ladies and gentlemen. We kind of expected that to happen and played a little bit better than I guess we could say we expected. But as a fallout of that, and probably a precursor, because we heard prior to that game that there's two guys that were potentially on the trading block. Both of those guys were traded, and it kind of surprised me that it was both. And we're going to give out our initial trade deadline reaction. Montez Sweat and Chase Young both land elsewhere. Montez Sweat goes to Chicago Bears for a second, and Chase to San Francisco for a third
compensatory third.
Yeah.
So I had a chance to exchange some texts last week with Coach EB, and he caught our keys to victory against the Eagles and said that he thought we had some good ideas and we may enjoy what we see on Sunday. And he did. He listened to what we said about getting the ball out quickly for Sam, ignore the running game if it's not working. And he did a good job with the game plan. Unfortunately, Josh Harris did not listen to one of our previous segments where you and I spoke about, would we trade these guys? And we had said no.
Yeah.
We had said, let's wait till next year's coaching staff gets a chance with them. So going into this, you and I were of the opinion of that we wouldn't trade it. You and I talked, Monday. We braced ourselves for some of this news because it became more and more apparent that one of them was going to go.
Right.
But I was really surprised kind of at the end that they just said to both of them, you're both out. Bye-bye.
Yeah. Honestly, it was really shocking. And again, it wasn't like we didn't talk about this. We brought it up. We discussed it. But also, there were certain signs. Obviously, Montez Sweat, his Twitter handle or his IG, he cleaned all Washington stuff off of that. So you kind of saw that coming. But that one did kind of shock me. I mean, we'll get into that a little bit later. But the Chase Young thing, I personally have been griping about this man for the last couple weeks, and then also going into next year talking about we really can't justify money that he's trying to ask for with the play that he has had on the field. So that one I guess I wasn't as surprised with, other than the name. But yeah, Montez for me, I thought was kind of like, if you're talking about building blocks, he could be a building block for a team. He fits well with them, but one, yes, two, I don't know.
Right. I've kind of come to the grips with the reality of we can't have 4 defensive linemen making $100 million collectively per year.
Yep.
And we were going to have to part with one of them. I kind of became resigned to that, but I didn't know which one.
Yeah.
And like you said, it's like, well, Montez is the more solid player, but Chase is the potential game changer.
Yeah.
And younger too. So when Montez went, I kind of was like reserved, like, okay, well, I guess they're going to go with Chase. They probably went with the idea of the he's younger and stuff. But I also knew like they've been frustrated with Chase for more than 1 year. And you know what? I have to say, this is one time we need to give Ron Rivera some credit on what he said Monday. He got asked, okay, so there's some rumors out here. You guys could be shopping your defensive ends. What do you think about your defensive line as a whole this year? And he's like, not consistent enough. And he's not wrong with that. And that has been their theme for 4 years now.
Yep.
We have flashes between them, but we don't have a defensive line that scares people.
No.
We don't have the TJ Watts, the Aaron Donalds, the Nick Bosa's, and both of them are good players. Excuse me. But they hadn't, while here, turned into the game-changing, take the game over players, aside from Chase's first year. That's when he made plays that changed the outcome of the game, flipped the field, added points on the board. But after that, we haven't had our Micah Parsons like we thought.
Right.
And so you start to sit there and say, well, now wait a second. If this isn't working, if this was the year to make this work and show us you guys deserve money, and we're 3-5, and the defense is giving up over 30 points a game, does it make sense to be keeping these guys?
Right.
Does it make sense to go forward to the next regime with them as a core if we tried that?
Right.
And so to do what Ab loves is to say, let's get something instead of getting nothing. Let's get something.
Right.
I applaud the team, and I do think this is owner driven of saying, let's go get something.
Yeah. Yeah. And something that, was brought to kind of my attention is as a potential of maybe why it had to do with culture. I mean, let's be very honest when it comes to the two of these. Chase Young, we've known. I mean, he came in here with a big head, and we helped to puff that up.
Yeah.
But since the injury, the production hasn't matched the talent, And then you go back to Montez Sweat, and you're like, all right, well, this guy's been producing these last couple of years, and he seems to work in the system. But then you start going back to his time and his tenure in Washington. You go back to that 2020 season when he was very outspoken about not getting the vaccine, even though your coach had cancer and was extremely susceptible. No, I understand that's a personal decision, but if I know I'm sick and I know that and I'm going to see you every single day, and I know you're very susceptible to getting what I have, and then that could destroy you, that could kill you. We're talking about life and death. We're talking about a whole different thing. And then you got the next year where both of them are coming out saying we're going to get the tag team sack record. That doesn't seem a whole lot about us, and it seems more about me. Mm-hmm. What am I going to get? Look how great I am. And you start to see some of those things throughout the years. And then when Chase gets back and everybody's saying Chase is not going with the scheme. He's doing his own thing, and it's hurting the defense. Then you start to think, well, they're producing a little bit this year, and Sweat, maybe he's producing, but still, what can we get? Where can we go? Because the defensive line, to your point, everybody talks about our defensive line. People that don't know anything about the team say, man, well, your defensive line is one of the best in the league, one of the best in the league. And then it's crazy because I know you get the same feeling. We're looking at it like, what defensive line? Yeah. Who are you talking about? Because they have not produced, they haven't lived up to the expectation. So from that standpoint and from a business standpoint, yes, get ahead of the game. And like you said, I have said it. Let's get something for them as opposed to nothing. And what we got, I'm not upset with.
No. Now I do want to sit there because I know we've already been talking a lot about the players. I also think it's important though we talk about the team and the coaches. Yeah. I mean, this also is a reflection of Ron and Jack and is a failure on them.
Yep.
When Ron was hired as the Redskins head coach,
let's go.
They asked him, well, what about this job is intriguing to you? He goes, I know we got some guys up front on defense, and that I'm excited to coach those guys. And everyone got excited over that comment. And you're like, Ron Rivera, defensive coach, became a head coach by being a good defensive coordinator. Well, if we know one thing, our defense is going to be good. And then he brings in Jack Del Rio, who is an established defensive coordinator. He's won Super Bowls. He's gotten multiple head coaching jobs because of what he does. And 4 years later, we're trading away the number 2 overall pick in the draft.
Yeah.
Because you two couldn't find a way to make him thrive.
Yeah.
To make him stand out. And you're trading away another good defensive player, first-round pick, too, that didn't make it past his rookie contract because you two didn't bring out his talents either. So I think there's some responsibilities there on our franchise to say you also put yourself in this situation because you came in excited for these guys, and now you got them out, got rid of them.
And I almost wonder if, because like we both said, we both thought one for sure, but not both. I almost wonder if this is kind of the new owners coming in saying, we expect different. And it does not matter who you are. It doesn't matter what your contract is. If you are not producing and if you are standing in the way of our success, time for you to go. And good. Yeah.
Perfect. It's perfect because one of the things you and I talked about off a line here was, well, we're 3-5, but we're one game out of the 7th seed in the playoffs.
Right.
What if we do a quick turnaround like we always do with these guys? We make the playoffs. That's going to get people excited in December and January. That's the momentum for these guys in the Harris group to make changes, but they got the fans back. And Josh Harris, to your point, what you just said, we're not chasing 7 seeds. We're not chasing going 7-9 and making the playoffs like and winning the division like we did in 2020. 2020. We're going for better than that. And to do that, we're going to start by giving us some picks. We're going to give whoever takes over next year is going to have some more draft capital, more drafts. We've got a lot of money in free agency. And now you don't have to decide between 1, 2 of these guys. We can go elsewhere with how we want to build this roster.
Sorry, I'm in the office, so there was a printer in the background. I almost wish I could be a fly on the wall in Ron Rivera or Jack Del Rio's office, because I know once you see this, you kind of like, uh-oh. I mean, we're all kind of resigned to the fact that they're gonna get let go at the end of the year. But if you keep losing, I mean, Look, Magic hasn't been quiet, and on Twitter and everything, Josh Harris has let you know where his head is at. And these moves are not quiet. Everybody in the league is talking about it. So I definitely think, Del Rio and Rivera are kind of now, maybe this is hopefully putting a fire under them, because I wonder what is your response? What is their response to this? Is it I'm going to win with the guys I have, or uh-oh?
Right. Yeah.
So let's talk about the compensation.
Yeah.
Montez, we said, got number 2. Was that it?
Second round pick. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Second round. And then Chase got the compensatory, which is potentially third, or could
it's the third. It's in between the third and the fourth round. So basically, the 49ers are going to get, they had a general manager and a defensive coach become head coach. And so, or they had front office and coaches leave to other positions. So they're going to get rewarded because both of those guys were it was a diversity hire. And so that by being a minority candidate, they're going to get rewarded for that. And so it's basically pick number, 32, 64, 96. So between pick 96 and like 110. So, yeah. So it's further down, but right before the fourth round.
Oh, I like that. Now, I think that begs the question, and I've talked to many people about this. And first, we'll go with we'll go with, do we feel like we got the correct compensation for it?
Probably. People are if you are outside of Washington, you are very surprised with what Chase Young brought back.
Yes.
You're very surprised. But you also aren't here to know not much the scheme things, but to know there's concerns about his knee.
Mm-hmm.
There's concerns about the fact that both of these players were they're 9-game rentals. San Francisco maybe a little bit more because they got playoffs coming. Yeah. But when the fact that they are free agents at the end of the season, this isn't baseball where you give away prospects for this guy to help to vault you to the playoffs and to a World Series. You're getting a rental. Both teams will have a leg up to try and extend these guys if they like the scheme they play in. But it's a 9-game rental, and so that diminishes the return. On paper, it does kind of just a compensatory third for Chase Young. But like I said, there are league-wide concerns about that knee.
Yeah. I remember somebody you had commented on, I think it was Foob's Andrew Faubert's page or something, and then somebody was like, "Oh, you guys got fleeced, third for him, blah 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 blah." And the first thing I thought I was going to reply, then I was like, you know what? I bet this dude hadn't seen not one game this year of what the lack of what Chase is doing. Like, he has not been producing in the last 2 years, and that it is a very big concern, that knee. I mean, it's so much so that we know he was cleared around the Giants game last year, but didn't come back to win till the Browns game, right?
Yeah, weeks later.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it's clearly mental, and obviously he came back. He's got 3 sacks this year. He was leading in in the top 5 or top 10 in rushes or hurries or something like that. I mean, that's all good. It's all well and good and everything like that, but the production and what he's not doing, I don't know. I guess we see it a little bit more, and
Mm-hmm.
and it's paramount. He's not helping the defense, but maybe with that defense you have in San Francisco, they're just better. They can afford to have him do whatever he wants, and the rest of them will clean it up.
Dun, 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 dun.
Let's go. The Washington Commanders. There it is.